What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Mr. Dan here. As always, welcome back to another Hong Kong horror and Taiwanese terror review. This week, we're taking a look at 1992's Mad, Mad Ghost, starring, once again, Lam Ching Ying. There was one other actor that I recognized in here. Other than that, I did not recognize any of the actors in here. Everybody did acquit themselves quite well. And that actor would be Lung Chan, playing Evil Monk. He's sort of a rival to Lam Ching Ying's Taoist priest character. The rare time that you have like a holy man who's firmly on the side of evil in one of these movies. He doesn't really come in until the end, but I recognized him from such movies as Fearless, I believe, Legend of Feng Sayuk, and he goes all the way back to 36th Chamber of Shaolin. He was the abbot in charge of the staff chamber. Other than that, I did not recognize the cast. Lam Ching Ying is a teacher, a Taoist teacher of like a kung fu ghost exorcism school. I don't really know, but this is in modern times, so he's got a very small student body of 5 people, 1 female, 4 males. They're all very funny. Everybody plays their roles well. Of course, they're all sort of bumbling. Bumbling, it might be an overused word. They're kind of inept. They argue. They scare each other. They're all a little bit afraid of ghosts, but pretend not to be. Just great cast all around. And then also a standout that I'm going to mention is Wai Guan Law as the ghost Kun. Okay, she's a ghost that happens to live in the house that Lam Ching Ying and his students move into. She was great. And the plot is kind of a fun one. Definitely more in the comedy realm, with some more physical fighting than a lot of these, and a little bit less of the magic, although it is there. So Lam Ching Ying's and his school, they're kind of down on their luck. He has like a clinic where people come with their supernatural problems, but he shows up after his shift as a janitor, and he actually is dressed more like a night watchman, so I guess it's like a combination of both. And when he goes to change into his Taoist robes and comes out, all of the prospective clientele are gone because they're like, oh, he can't be that successful. And then a friend of his, who actually is played by Billy Chow, now that I mention it, who was in a bunch of these films. Billy Lau as the landlord. He's got these heavy glasses on in this one. A friend of his says, hey, you're a night watchman. I've got a house that needs babysitting. Move in. So eventually he moves in and then moves all his students in. But not before he moves in. He's walking around. He's like, I think this place is haunted, because he knows. Well, his friend is like scoffs at that, but then says, I'm going to go use the toilet. He opens up the toilet and it's not flushed, and it's gross. Oh, and then he hears something and sees something. So he gets down on all fours, because that's what you would do. And a hand comes out and grabs his face and pulls it into the toilet. And it's gross. It's so gross. God. Whew. But, really gross. Yikes, it looked real. Yeah, anyway, so his friend runs out, his students move in, and you see him dust off some pictures on the wall of a couple. The guy's got like these crazy eyes. Well, it turns out they are ghosts that are still inhabiting the place. And the female is Kun. Her husband is a real jerk off, even as ghosts go. I mean, this guy's a jerk. He verbally and physically abuses her. And I will say, there's a bit of that in the film. And now, in a film like this, he's going to get his comeuppance. But boy, he really does. He physically punches her a bunch of times. And then she's so meek that she says, well, it was my fault and stuff like that. Well, eventually, Lam Ching Ying meets them because he can see ghosts and everything. He has a falling out with the male ghost, puts a hurting on him. The guy goes into the ghost world, comes back with some accomplices, one of whom is like really tall and can shoot his arms out like Freddy Krueger style. I've seen that in a bunch of these films. And that even goes all the way back to like Master of the Flying Guillotine, when they had like a tournament of international fighters, and the Indian guy was supposed to be some kind of a yogi or swami or something who can do that. I've seen that in these movies before. So kind of an entertaining scene. Eventually, he will come back again after he is recruited by this evil monk sort of figure. Now, how does the evil monk come into play? Well, the house is also conveniently a place where 2 Western robbers, I don't know if they're American or British or what, buried some loot. So now, so they're scoping it out in a van outside. They know it's in the house and on the premises somewhere. They don't know where. But then they're chagrined to see Lam Ching Ying and all the students move in. So they're like, oh, now we got to find some excuse to get in the house and find our money, which is buried somewhere. So eventually they will recruit this evil monk, and he meets up with the cowardly, bug-eyed, mean ghost, and they have a confrontation. In the meantime, for much of the movie, the master and the students get to know Ah Kun, the shy, meek ghost. She starts to come out of her shell. They do some kind of a ceremony where she can go out into the physical world, and she goes shopping. And she, this is from the early 90s. So there's like a Madonna poster in the mall, and then she comes out dressed like, I guess, like Madonna. And someone's like, who? And no, she says something like, who? McDonald. That's funny because she doesn't know anything. And she has several crazy looking outfits, and it's actually pretty funny. Her transformation is really something else in this film. Even when she gets tough, sometimes she has to turn around and like catch her breath because she's just not used to expressing herself and exerting herself. So a lot of the confrontations are really good in the film. There's lots of really good physical fighting. For a movie about ghosts, they actually physically punch each other a lot in this movie. Okay. And the bad guys eventually come back at the end with machine guns. And then it turns into a little bit of a Home Alone situation as there's like booby traps and tacks and things on the floor. And, the same kind of yellow paper that they affix to the vampires' heads in the vampire films to get them to stop hopping. They've got that all over the wall, and they've, written Chinese characters on it, which I guess are supposed to be holy or something like that. Because even though they got machine guns, it never occurs to them to just mow everything down. Even though the maze is made out of paper. So it's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's kind of goofy, kind of silly, just kind of a lot of fun. And there's some really good bits. Like I said, it is set in modern times. Although there is a scene in the beginning when the students are sort of meditating. One of them kind of imagines himself back in ancient times as like a big Taoist ghost fighter. And it's funny because Lam Ching Ying is now subservient to him and calling him master. And there's a ghost and everything, and he saves the day, and he starts making out with some woman he saved. But then all of a sudden he wakes up from his daydreaming, and he's actually kissing somebody else. It's pretty funny. And that little scene, as brief as it was really cool. It was almost like it was from another movie that was set back in the old days. Yeah, just lots of fun, lots of slapsticky, crazy action, and some really good performances overall. So definitely a good one. Okay, so using the rating system that I've developed for these films, let's start off with the action. How many hopping vampires am I going to give this one? I'll give this one, again, a solid 3 out of 5 hopping vampires for the action. Remember, the bar is set very high when it comes to action for these films. So 3 out of 5 is pretty good. Comedy. Let's see, how many fake vampire teeth am I going to give this one for comedy? You know what? I really got a kick out of this one. I'm going to give this one 4 out of 5 for the comedy. And then as far as the setting and atmosphere, I'm going to have to go with, I think I'm just going to go with a 2 on that. And that's not really a criticism of the film. It's not like they tried to have a creepy atmosphere and failed. It was just set in modern times in a house, mostly, with just a brief glimpse into sort of the ghostly world. So a 2 out of 5. Now, how many total Lam Ching Ying unibrows am I going to give this film? How many unibrows out of 5 am I going to give the film? Keeping in mind, I also factor in some sort of X factors and like some of the performances, which in this film is really helped make it enjoyable. Some great performances in this one. So even though it doesn't seem like it averages out to what I'm going to give it, I'm going to go with 4 Lam Ching Ying eyebrows out of 5. Unibrows, rather. Okay, that's my ranking. 4 out of 5 unibrows. Check this one out. This one was a lot of fun. Come back again next time for another Hong Kong horror or Taiwanese terror review. Later.